Peace, peace. This is Agula Ra, and thank you for entering into the opening of the way. Right. So today I wanted to talk about spiritual credit score. Right. Now let's think about credit. In life, anything that you would like to purchase or I like to have in this life, you have to have credit. Everything is run by credit, word of mouth, or your reputation. Right. And when you're thinking about the aspect of credit, you have a high credit and you have a low credit score. I believe like the highest is like 800 and the lowest would be like 500, and then it goes even poor credit. So you have high credit and you have poor credit, right? Now, in order for you to buy a luxurious particular whether it's to get in a loan, whether it's to get in a car, phone, or housing, you have to check your credit. And if your credit is high, you have the advantage of purchasing a luxurious vehicle, home. People into the iPhones, you have the cell phones, right? And you're able to benefit from, the luxuries of life, right? So when, and there are times if your credit score is a lot lower, then, you may get the basic essential things, you know what I'm saying? It may not be what you want, but you're able to obtain some sort of luxury, right? And then there are places where, let's just say, you're in a position where, you may be falling through hard times, and you may not able to pay your bills, and what end up happening, if you're being late on a payment, it goes into delinquent, and then if it goes into delinquent, then it goes into repossession. But then if you have good credit, high credit, and if you're getting checking different places to get a loan for certain things, you get a high impact on your credit, which leaves a red flag, and they actually keeping an eye on it to make sure there's nothing fraudulent, or to make sure, you know what I'm saying. They would keep an eye on it, right? So let's look at it in the sense of your spiritual credit score, right? Meaning, you know, a lot of us, when we first got on this path, we was very inquisitive on learning about spirituality, and working with different spirits, deities, and a lot of times you open up the ways of communication of dealing with your ancestors. You set the atmosphere right. You have your altar set up for your ancestors, and you build up that means of communication from prayers, devotions, time. Now remember, when you're dealing with energy, energy is your currency for the spirit realm, right? And in time, when you're dealing with your ancestors, uh, for a long period of time, you begin to build a reputation in the spiritual realm, right? And the benefit from doing that, you know, you have a sense of protection, clarity, wisdom, healing. Relationships begin to flourish. Um, Health begins to be better, right? Because you're building up that relationship with your ancestors. And a lot of times, the more time you put in, the more you'll be able to benefit from it. And then your credit score goes higher, whether it's through, purchasing a cell phone and you're paying it on time for 6 months, then your credit score begins to go up. The same aspect when you're dealing with your ancestors, your spiritual credit scores begins to go to different other deities and spirits that wants to work with you, right? And when you start to neglect your ancestors, a lot of times misfortune may come, your protection defense may come down a little bit. If you're working on a job or you're an entrepreneur, you're not making the amount of money that you desire, starts to go down, right? And then, you know, different things, you start having this anxiousness or a dissatisfaction when you're not getting the things that you desire, because when you're looking at credit is everything. Everything is ran off credit, right? But in the spiritual aspect, if you start to neglect them, it goes into spiritual delinquency, right? And when you have a spiritual delinquency, you know, a lot of times the ancestors will start pulling back. How an Ifa they would say Eri. Eri means blessings, and then you will start to project Osukbo. Osukbo means misfortunes, right? When you're in a delinquent state, right? And when this happens, and if you keep persistently copying or repeating the same offense, where you're not getting into your prayers, you're not getting into your devotion. Now they are forced to repossess the things that they gave you. You know what I'm saying? For you to learn. And then in that process of you learning, now you have to deal with, okay, how can I get myself back in alignment with my ancestors or with my deities? Because the thing about when you're dealing with spirits, not only when we tend to deal with spirits, we learn the repetition of a spirit do's and don'ts, and which spirits that we don't want to deal with. The ancestors and spirits has the same thing. You know what I'm saying? In the spirit world, they let you know, okay, this person is capable of becoming a powerful spiritual. This you know what I'm saying? This particular individual is capable of making sure they give their offerings on time, or doing their prayers on time, or spending time and intellecting with, dialoguing with the spirit, right? And another thing too is very important when you're getting spiritual consultations or spiritual readings. It's very important to be careful on how many, they call it spiritual reading hopping. You're going to this reader, you're going to this reader, you're going to this reader, and in return is withdrawing your spiritual credit score. It's actually lowering your spiritual credit score, which make you vulnerable to spiritual attacks, or you end up collecting debris from different spiritualists, right? So it's very important when you're getting readings. It's best, of course, you're going to go out and adventure and experiment, but when you find that particular practitioner or reader, it's best to stick with one, because what begins to happen, you begin to build up a relationship with this particular reader, and they begin to understand your energy, and then sometimes you may get a discount on a reading, or they may give you more insight on your spiritual journey, right? And in that, they will benefit from it, and you will benefit from it, and you will have a healthy spiritual relationship, or spiritual credit score begins to go higher and higher, right? Even take it back for men. You know what I'm saying? When a lot of men, it's real hard for men to find a good barber, right? And when you shopping around and going to different barber shops, a lot of times you end up building a relationship with them, because you go in and you let them know what type of haircut you got, and it's that job for that particular barber to know the pattern of your hair, to know the texture of your hair. If you have male pattern baldness, or if you have a receding hairline, this particular barber has to be skilled on how to cut your hair, or what not to take off and what to keep on, right? And in return, they may give you a discount on on getting, actually haircuts went up before. Back in the day, haircuts was like maybe 12, 16. Now you're paying like $20, $30 for a haircut. Never been that expensive, but you have that aspect. And then you have ladies, it's very hard for them to find a beautician to do their hair, you know what I'm saying? To cut it the way they want it, or if they have dreads, to do their dreads the way they want it. But when you start to build up a relationship with your barber or your beautician, you benefit from it. You're looking good, your self-esteem builds up, and so forth. But even going back to talking about, knowing your spiritual credit score and keeping it excellent will be very beneficial for you. You know what I'm saying? So even in some people, like an Ifa, they have they call it Ifa reading, and a lot of times when they cast the shells, they'll let you know if it falls in Eri, they'll let you know if it falls in a Osukbo, right? And depending on the particular reading that you get, they will let you know if you have to make Igbo. Igbo means you have to give an offering. Some of them will be blood, and some of it will be, um, non-food items or food that requires blood. And in getting this reading, they'll let you know taboos and different things like that, right? But when you get that particular consultation or a reading, a lot of times when you're getting those particular readings, you have to wait, like, I want to say like 6 months, and then you will actually go back to get a consultation to kind of see how things are going, right? So, this is just a quick video, knowing the importance of your spiritual credit score, because if you're not building up the relationship with your ancestors or with other spirits that you're dealing with, it can cause blessings or it can cause misfortunes. So, I just want to do a quick video on talking about your spiritual credit score, knowing your spiritual credit score and keeping it high, because a lot of times if you don't, it could be lead to misfortune. So this is Ogula Ra. Peace.